Number 9320 March 91 875 94 lakhs 130. Closing stock will repair. May 85 lakhs 86,084.
Hello, Ashu, can you hear me? Hello. Hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Great. Great. So we are about to start. It's just a question of 3 minutes. And thank you all of you for joining. It's a pleasure to welcome you. In fact, today I joined via mobile, and actually today there is a Economic Times lecture going on in GW Marriott. So I had to come out, and I may be there for some time. But I think, has the chief guest arrived? Hello, Tista, can you call the chief guest?
Yes, sir. I'm calling him right away.
Okay. And Deepak ji has joined, our speaker.
The speaker has joined.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Deepak ji. Deepak ji, how are you?
I'm doing fine, sir.
Okay, we are all eagerly waiting to hear you. And this software in valuation is a riddle for everybody. So I'm sure it is going to be a very interesting lecture. And the point is that we are in a state situation where the valuation profession is going up so much, and there is a need for handling it at a speed, and also the knowledge banks. So I think your experience is going to be very useful to everybody.
Sure, sir.
Which city you are in, Deepak ji?
Mumbai.
Okay, of course nowadays city doesn't matter, but I must walk into you sometimes, I mean, since I am also in Mumbai.
Eagerly welcome.
Okay. Uh, as such, I am in Sion. Where are you post?
I'm in the suburb, Borivali.
Borivali. Okay.
Yeah.
I do come to Borivali of late.
You're most welcome.
Yeah, I think it is 6:30. And it's my pleasure to give it a start. Today I could not be at my residence because there is a Economic Times lecture going on at JW Marriott. So I had to participate that. You can see here JW Marriott. I had come out for something from the lecture. And to the audience and to the good response which we have got as usual, I welcome all the audience. Tista ji, has Sarunkesar joined?
So he's joining in 2 minutes. I
Okay,
called him up.
that's
He's
great.
come.
That's
Joining.
great.
Yeah.
I think the excellent efforts by Tista ji and Sandeep Agarwal ji, I think there is a good response. There are almost 200 people who want to join, and we have kept the YouTube facility also. in case if somebody needs, then that is available to share. Sandeep ji, Ashu will send you the link if required. Welcome to all the people for attending this webinar. And this webinar is going to be a path-breaking webinars because the valuations is entering into a zone where softwares have become mandatory. For a change, you might be seeing me in formals because I had to come out at JW Marriott here for a Economic Times program of Leaders for Tomorrow. Association of Valuation Professionals was started very recently, and we already have a huge number of members, and has been progressing leaps and bounds. But for Diwali, I think we are going on for almost weekly webinar, and therefore we are on our toes all the time. Thanks to Sandeep ji and Tista ji and all my colleagues, it's going on well. The point to harp here is that I hope by now all the audience here is already the members, life members of our Association of Valuation Professionals. We are available at a very easy terms of 5,000 rupees life membership, no annual membership fees, no other costs, everything online. Webinars are held every week, that too on a quality issues. And like today, you will certainly come across Deepak Sharma ji in his great um knowledge. It's going to be a good sharing for all of us. As far as the valuation is concerned, it is the most hot topic currently in India and even all over the world. To share the AVP's progress in short, which of course in detail will be shared, but I'm sure you will all like to become members because the knowledge sharing is one of the most important quality of or the program of our. Apart from that, we have a monthly newsletter. We also have a continuous stream of helping the young valuers who are yet to pass exam also. So very important thing I would like to mention here, that it is not compulsory to be a person who has passed registered valuers exam. You can be anybody and everybody who is interested in valuation profession. So you can be actuary, you can be LIC agent, you can be cost accountant, chartered accountant, MBA, engineer, doctor, and we have members from Dubai, London, and Melbourne also. In fact, the last week's speech itself, or 2 weeks back, Deepa ji from Melbourne had handled the webinar. And we are in the process of tie-up with many organizations. The first, one of the most important tie-ups, thankfully happened, and today that person is also going to guide us as a chief guest. That is Chandrakant Sadunke ji, who is one of the very towering personality, who is the chairman and president of SME Chambers of India, who is having a 15 lakhs worth membership, and we have become their knowledge partner. So we are honored by that, and I hope Sadunke ji has by now joined, or he will be joining any minute. Sadunke sir and my friendship goes long back, I think more than 15-20 years back. And we have been seeing how much strong growth Sadunke sir had been having. And the way he is leading the whole SAP organizations of India is really commendable. Having said that, and having mentioned that we have global members, we are also in a tie-up discussion with Canada, USA, and Singapore. 3 places we are in discussion with, forming a tie with the Valuers Association of those countries. Apart from that, I repeat that my own number 9167446744. You can always log in and pay by GPay, Google Pay, 5,000 rupees, or by UPI ID. The details will be shared with you by the colleagues of mine. And apart from that, what I request you is that join the conference, join the program, and certainly participate in it. Our members use participation is our biggest strength. We have members right from this end to that end. Like today, the coordinator of this webinar is my colleague Tista Gupta. She is from Guwahati. Okay, so we have members in Kashmir, Jammu. We have members in Tiruvathapuram, okay, which is at the bottommost center. Then we have people at Somnath and Kutch, and we have people in the north, east, west, south, all corners of India. Obviously, we are now from more than 11 states and 2 union territories. City-wise, I think we have crossed 34 cities. The membership is increasing daily. Anybody wants to become member, just send a PM to me. Or just the ease of taking membership is very high. Having said that, I have a strong privilege that we work as a team actually, and it's a strong team that which has been doing wonders in a very short time. And monthly 4 webinars are happening, which is a matter of great interest for us. Some of our most popular programs, which you can see on our social media channels of Twitter and WhatsApp and Telegram, that is, we have the a webinar held on Zomato IPO valuation, and we also had the webinar on startups. So with all that happening, there is a strong work happening for our association. And with this, I take a privilege to hand over to my colleagues, coordinators to take the program forward. Thank you and all the best, and hope you will enjoy this today's sessions. Thank you. Hand over to Tista, please. Tista, over to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay, let us start our webinar today. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So let me introduce CA Asmita Farkeji. She will be introducing our chief guest in today's webinar. Asmita ji, please take over.
No. Smita will be doing AVP presentation.
Okay. I'm sorry. Let me introduce CA Veena Bareji to introduce the chief guest. Actually, the chief guest hasn't joined as yet, and I was busy coordinating the same. So Veena ma'am, please take over and introduce. I hope he'll be joining shortly.
Otherwise, you can do AVP presentation first. Let the chief guest join later.
I think that's better.
Yeah.
Let us have AVP presentation first.
Let us
Yeah,
do
yeah.
AVP presentation.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Ashmita ma'am, are you there?
Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yes, you are audible now.
No, is it presented on mobile?
Yes, actually from mobile I'm accessing. Is it?
So if you turn the mobile by 90 degree, will it improve?
As Bhabe sir has already introduced Association of Valuation of Professional in brief a little bit and the life evolution, I would like to proceed further towards how to take this membership, or you can say the upcoming webinars which we
Mohanji, good evening.
Good evening, Salunke sir. It's
Sorry for
our
the
pleasure
late.
that you could join.
Stuck up on another meeting, so
Not an issue. Your job is to rotate and hop around here and there.
how
Part
many
of life.
friends are joining now?
Yeah, quite a good number, and still more are joining. Plus, some have joined via link.
So wait for some time.
Yes, good evening everyone. Yes,
Yeah, Asmita, continue.
yes.
Salunke ji, Asmita ji is giving the introduction of AVP.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, why to appeal here that those who have not taken the membership, please proceed for which is following are the benefits of it. That is mentoring newly registered valuers. Basic motto is mentoring newly registered valuers mentoring students, monthly e-newsletters which we are publishing for sharing knowledge, networking at national and international levels, study of IVS and valuation standards issued by various bodies. Also, we can participate in activities, various committees which we have formed. Then there is a chance to attend international webinars at discounted price, formation of various study groups to enrich our knowledge in particular areas of work, and also knowledge sharing events happening, which are already fixed, and the upcoming webinars are as per the slide which we all are able to see on the screen. So these are the list of some upcoming webinars. So I appeal, those who have not taken the life membership, please go ahead with the life membership. Thank you. Over to you, Tista.
Now Veena ji can introduce the chief guest. Chief guest has arrived.
Proceed with the introduction of our chief guest now.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Thank you. So it's my pleasure to introduce the chief guest today, Mr. Chandrakant Salunke, an eminent personality from SME business fraternity. He has been rightly termed as SME rights activist. He is the founder, president, and chairman of SME Chamber of India, Federation of Indian SME Associations, SME Business Management Institute, SME Business Forum, and 15 plus such organizations. He has been working for last 25 years for the development of SME sector. He has been in the forefront to resolve the issues, problems of SMEs and industry, and provides suggestions, recommendations to various government agencies for policy change and policy implementations. The Chamber provides networking platform for integration of SMEs to explore emerging business opportunities in India and abroad, to take advantage in the era of Make in India for joint ventures, technology transfer, contract manufacturing, and other such business opportunities. Mr. Chandrakant Salunke is the founder and chairman and managing director of Macro Group of Companies, founded in 1991 at Mumbai. The group is involved in manufacturing, packaging, exports, distributorship, and marketing of capital goods, industrial products, and processed food, as well as information technology, branding, international promotions, and business promotional activities. Mr. Salunke has also founded various organizations to support SMEs, young entrepreneurs, and startups. Under the dynamic leadership of Mr. Salunke, SME Chamber of India has been putting efforts for business growth, strengthening and transformation, SMEs for business expansion and diversification, channelizing finance and investment, identifying emerging business opportunities, joint ventures, technology transfers, contract manufacturing, mergers and acquisitions, import facilitations, commercialization of inventions, innovations, imparting knowledge and education, government services, setting up new manufacturing industries, guidance for marketing, promotion, franchise and distributorship, and various initiatives and policies for revival of SIC, SME and manufacturing units. He has taken keen interest to organize regularly various national and international level trade promotional activities. Events, conferences, seminars, webinars, roundtable discussions, study visits, and led many delegations to visit various countries to establish business cooperation and explore various emerging business opportunities. Mr. Salunke has been addressing various events, presenting various issues of SMEs and suggestions to government authorities, RBI, regulatory bodies, FIs, corporates, and other stakeholders. This brief introduction must have certainly given you a fair idea about the great leadership qualities, about his passion to make a difference in the lives of the others. Thank you.
Yes, Salunke sir, now you can give free few words of wisdom for our audience.
I'm audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. First of all, thank you very much, Ram Mohanji, for inviting me. And good evening to all. Namaskar to all. Friends from the CA paternity, CMA, and company secretary, and especially the SME sector, those are joined today, those are going to listen after our webinar. First of all, I would like to express that, particularly the valuation business. We know the valuation business going on in India, particularly in startups. Why not this valuation business can be started in SME sector? This was discussion we had with Ramonji, Mr. Bhave recently. And so that, we have set up one group and we have started working on, addressing the issue. Friends, we are all aware that, SME sector is, very much crisis in last 1 year, rather in this pandemic. But always the pandemic is attacking to SME sector for last 20 years for many segments. One is a financial, second is a manpower, third is a challenge in marketing, fourth is a manufacturing, and fifth is particularly to identify the market. If we give hand-holding to SME sector, I'm sure that we can achieve $5 trillion economy in 2024 only. But the lacking of the government support, lacking of the systematically what we can say initiative by the banking sector, because of that MSME sector is not enjoying any sufficient financial support from the government. All of you must be seeing during this pandemic when the emergency loan announced, until now the emergency 3 lakh crore emergency loan banks are still disbursing. So that means banking sector not yet reach to more than 45 lakh to 50 lakh MSMEs. There are 6.33 crore MSMEs in India and more than 5 crore self-employed are there. So these are the around more than 11 crore business entities are in India, but banks still not reach with them. Another point, Government of India is not giving more importance to the MSME sector for doing ease of doing business, or not providing level playing field. But last 1 year, we had seen every department. Rather, when I met Honorable Prime Minister in 2019 December, after that, the lot of things changed. A lot of initiative taken by the government, particularly Minister of MSME, Minister of Commerce and Industry, for empowering SMEs, to educating SMEs and creating awareness about the local and global market. Now, coming back to the point, when we talk about startups, Government of India has come out with a good Startup India platform. Similarly, we have changed the definition of MSME in 2019, 2020 about, from 5 crore, 15 crore to 75 crore small businesses and 250 crore is a medium-sized businesses. So looking at the business valuation proposition in India, MSME, if you ask any small entrepreneur, say like 20 years he spent time in his business, he has a manufacturing unit, he has a premises, he has a name, he has a fame of his product. If you ask him why you're closing your factory and why you're selling, he will give a valuation about his property only. He will not go for a business valuation of his company. So how the startups are giving more importance for the business valuation. So the point is how we can generate how we can educate, and how we can support MSMEs, particularly to understand the importance of business valuation, the valuation game of the any businesses. That is the most important. My requirement I have expressed to Mr. Ramon Bhave, that how we can bring more awareness amongst MSME sector, how I can take advantage of the stalwarts, those who have joined today. Every person is having different skill and ideas and initiatives. How I can utilize that as a chamber, as a SME Chamber of India. We are the one of the largest membership organization in India. I will be happy to invite those are speakers, those are service providers, those are idea creators, inventors, looking to connect with the MSME sector, looking to share their ideas, looking to provide your services, and looking to give a hand holding to MSME sector to transform them for a particularly not only to survive this local market but a global market. Our main focus is to how we can make MSMEs global competitiveness, how they can be globally be competitive, and similarly how they can put efforts for the productivity, for the efficient services, and best thing is how they can come out with a quality product. With the government of India, particularly from the Ministry of Commerce, we are coming out with a branding, made in India brand product. So how we can brand our India product in a local global market. That is also education we are giving in MSME sector. With my efforts, we have brought SME Stock Exchange. With my efforts, we have brought trades platform that must be available. With my efforts, we brought this collateral fee loan up to 2 crore. Now I'm pushing with the government to make at least 15 crore rupees. And with my efforts, we have brought a lot of the initiatives and support from the government of India, particularly state governments. And mostly, I am putting efforts that government should provide industrial land on a very competitive cost, very low cost, so that they can start manufacturing. All of you are aware that nobody is now entering into manufacturing unit. Rather, manufacturing unit they are closing and they are starting a consultancy business, or they are starting trading business, or they are starting other business. So we have to encourage MSME to set up business, MSME to set up manufacturing unit. Rather, recently, Honorable Commerce Minister has given target. Target is, we have to achieve 400 billion US dollars export by this 2022 March. So who will be doing? MSME is going to do, because MSME is in supply chain management. MSME is a manufacturing product. MSMEs are putting efforts for the quality product manufacturing for large corporate. So ultimately, if we have to empower MSMEs, we have to bring out new ideas. So friends, I will not take much time on more on the business valuation part, but I would like to understand more from the the speakers. Speaker is going to speak about other different subject, but somehow, if all of you can put efforts and give me some new ideas, new concepts on how we can improve the business valuation proposition for MSME sector, where we can showcase our MSMEs in the world that you are eligible for joint venture, you are eligible for attracting the more investment, you are eligible for going for technology transfer, you are eligible for a contract manufacturing. Because when we match with the other companies in the world, we are a very small company. We say only my turnover is 50 crore. But we are not saying that my business valuation is so much. So this is the awareness we have to bring. And Mr. Ramon Bhave, we are a very old friend, and we are going to bring some new ideas where we can going to support and inform our members that think about what is a business valuation and what will be the benefit to MSME sector, how your business can be for involved in buying, selling, how you can raise the funds, how you can assess your intellectual property rights, how you can know about tax liability, how you can settle the legal dispute of your company, how you can go for financial reporting purpose since you are going to list in a SME stock exchange, how you can, even though most of the MSME can understand the employee stock ownership plan, where they can go for programming system. So these are my thoughts at this webinar. And I'm sure that with efforts from the Ram Mohanji and your team, and of course, the stalwarts from the various field from this segment, I'll be happy to receive inputs from you and suggestions and other hand-holding to MSME sector to make India as a manufacturing hub. With this words, I'm thankful to all of you, and thanks to all the participants or those who are listening to me. Over to Trista.
Thank you so much, Salukya sir, for your golden words. Over to Ashmita ma'am. Please go ahead and introduce our speaker for the evening. Ashmita ma'am, are you there?
Hello. Am I audible? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Trista. Good evening, all my colleagues, all the present members of respected founder members, and all other participants present in the webinar. Today I'd like to introduce our today's speaker, CA Deepak Sharma sir, in brief. He is a chartered accountant in practice and register valuer. CA Deepak Sharma sir is a gold medalist in Global Masters in Business Administration from SP Jain Center of Management, Singapore and Dubai. He has more than 16 years of professional experience in due diligence, valuation, financial modeling, transaction support, and fundraising advisory. He has worked with leading consulting firms like PwC, Deloitte, and leading financial institutions like ICICI Bank Limited in mergers and acquisitions advisory. He also has experience on startup advisory, financial feasibility, preparation of economic analysis, mergers and acquisitions, infrastructure advisory, investment appraisals, valuation of businesses under different methods and regimes, and also transfer pricing. He also provides financial advisory for various infrastructure projects like Underground Metro Line 3, Mumbai Trans-Harbour Link projects, etc. He also has delivered many trainings and workshops. Now I would request CS Deepak Sharma sir to please proceed for our today's topic on softwares for valuation professionals. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Asmita. And it's an honor, Chandrakant Salunke sir, to be presenting in your presence. Raman Bhavesh sir has given us your good presence for this webinar. Thank you so much. I will, just share my presentation. Hold on. Okay. So I think this is visible. If it is not, please let me know. And the way I want to, present this is almost like, we are talking to a friend. This is just a knowledge sharing session. I just want to present, any ideas which I have gathered across whatever number of years of experience I have. Involved into valuation and modeling, financial modeling. Some of the investment modeling is also available and applicable to valuation per se. I just want to, give you an insight on the various aspects of this. The first and foremost is private and listed companies. I have given out few of the softwares which are available, or cloud-based softwares which are available. We can see there are three databases which are available. Then for startups, there are various other databases which are having different kind of, if I can say so, very different format, and plus they are suited to a startup valuation. For intangibles, there are others. I have not listed a few of them. Royalty Stat is one. KT Mine and others are there. For transaction, there are softwares which are available called Margin Market. For listed, probably everybody is very aware of what kind of databases are available. For research, I have highlighted a couple of them, which I'll talk to in detail as we go. But one thing I wanted to highlight before I move ahead, I am presenting all of this is as just like a knowledge sharing. I'm not trying to promote any one of them particularly, but everybody should be aware that these are the databases, these are the softwares which are available for anybody who's looking at looking at valuing particular sector or a company or a startup. So the way I have modeled this entire presentation is to give you the entire look and feel of each of these software and databases. So we will proceed to the first one, for the private and listed companies. Prowess is one of them. If somebody amongst our members who are listening right now are into transfer pricing, you would be very familiar with what we are looking at. This is promoted by CMIE, which is Center for Monitoring Indian Economy. And if you can see, it's a web-based software. Earlier, it used to be a desktop-based software, but now they have completely moved to the cloud. So it is available on a web. There are various aspects of this which are available for investment appraisal, but I'm going to talk about something which is more suited or more focused on the valuation front. So everybody is well aware of how do you model a DCF. Everybody knows about preparing it in an extensive Excel model. It is available for everybody. Almost all the companies, they would have this kind of. In fact, every valuation practitioner would have a model. The particular problem which I can foresee at a smaller, practitioner is we generally try to focus on DCF with information being provided by the company who we are valuing, and it generally is we do a lot of diligence on the information which is given out. But we do not have much of information on the industry as such. Like, if we're talking about, yarn as such, or, cloth, or, textile market, what are these companies which are available if I have to do, a trading multiple? Okay. This particular software can help in finding out which are those, companies which are available in these four, sectors. In fact, there are numerous sectors. I'm just trying to focus on a few of them just to make it easy. So, we can select a few of the, sectors which we want to focus on. And we can see there are 154 companies. It's a mix of listed as well as unlisted companies. Okay, so some of them, people are aware that some of them are already available on various other databases because they are listed. But this software gives out both listed as well as unlisted companies. So we can see these 154 companies are available. What we are interested to understand, there are other companies which pop up when we seek out all the four different markets, all the four different sectors. So there are 1,400 companies available once we seek out all of the four different sectors. Now, if you want to understand what are the financials, okay, if we are valuing a company which is into textiles, we should understand what are the top line, what are the profitability, what are the assets, what are the borrowing levels, debt levels of a company. So these are the ways we select on each one of them. We can select the sales, we can select the profit after tax, we can select the total liabilities, long-term borrowings, and we can add it as an output which we need. This particular section is for the year. Okay, so if we are talking about last 10 years, we can select L10. If it is only last year, it will be L. So after we add up all of this, we can go ahead and see what is available in terms of the database now. So we can see, look, there are a lot of these companies which have populated. L3 is basically the last fourth year. The structure is such that it is the last fourth year, and L2 means the third year. So L1, L2, L3, L4. That's the way it is structured. just to present it. We can see there are these companies and the profit levels, the liabilities, the assets, and the current assets. All of it is available as an information, and this can be exported to Excel. But most important aspect now is to see whether some of them are listed companies. Okay, so let's say we want to select the price. Basically, if you can see, we have selected the opening price on BSE. It can be NSE as well, just to understand what are the trading multiples for a textile company. So suppose my textile company being valued is in the range of top line of 50 crore. So let's see if we have similar companies which are available as a company. So if you can see, look, there are a few companies which are available. This is the data. So having assets of this 290 and market price. So this can be used as a useful tool to calculate what are the trading multiples for a listed company. If suppose we are looking at RV Denim, so it has total liabilities of 919. It is already listed. If my company, which I am trying to value, is not falling in within that range, in the sense I'm trying to value a smaller company, probably I'll need more information on other similar companies in similar range. Then obviously we have to get into each companies basically to understand whether they are actually really comparable to what we are trying to value. So suppose somebody is into synthetic yarn. Okay, so synthetic yarn is something which is slightly different from the normal textile. So we should get into each company. We can, in fact, this particular software allows that. So we can get into each company and see what are their product, what are their services which are being provided, and whether does it match up to what we are valuing as a company. Obviously, the debt levels are also available, so we can see that what kind of debt equity, what kind of debt levels are we looking at, because it's important if we are looking at a very large company. Obviously, the amount of capital which they invest in in a particular manufacturing or whatever setup, it's not comparable to a smaller scale investment, because you might not have very large amount of economies of scale. You might not have very large supply chain available to you. So we really need to understand what are these companies which we are looking at, and also if they are really comparable to what kind of companies we are trying to evaluate. So this was just a brief on this particular software, but this particular software also gives some amount of data on the economy, which anyway is available as anybody would want to, if they want to understand what are the inflation levels, what are the inputs on the production in a particular sector, which are available for the economy. They also do that kind of in fact in this particular software also they give out what are the production levels for automobile sector, what are the production levels for power sector. So this is quite a useful software, but it's a paid software, just to tell you for everybody. Another similar software which is there for people around is called Capitaline Plus. So again, somebody who's already done transfer pricing, he would know this is quite useful. And also, I'll tell you another perspective into both Progress and Capitaline. Both are accepted by regulatory bodies. In fact, they also have same software being used among the officers. So, if we are trying to access any particular information, like as I said, textile or cement, as we are trying to look at now, they also have the same information available to them by both the same service providers. So it's important where we are trying to value a company, we understand what trading multiple or transaction. I'll come to the transactions later, but here we are trying to focus on the transaction space. Also, importantly, I did not touch base on the margins. Look, a larger company would have different kind of expenses compared to a smaller company, because there, the fixed expenses would be slightly higher, or compared to if somebody is a smaller company has recently invested, the kind of fixed expenses would be slightly higher. So we can, kind of analyze those aspects also from, both these databases. I'll show you this slightly dated information, but it gives out all kinds of cement company in the north. Now, if somebody who's expert on cement would tell me that cement companies generally are location specific. Okay, so somebody who's operating in north of India, he would not supply to south of India, because sheer volume of such kind of commodity, it doesn't make sense. The supply chain will be too costly to transport it from north of India to south of India. So it's important, if we are looking at a cement company who's situated in the north of India, we have to understand what are these companies which are there in the north of India, and whether they are comparable to the sales which we are looking at. Suppose I'm looking at a smaller company of maybe 200 crore or 300 crore. I would not look at ACC or Ambuja. They are pretty large. In fact, they would have streamlined most of their supply chain. Compared to a smaller one who would not have economies of scale, plus the agreements which are needed, including power agreements, which will be slightly expensive for them. So it's not comparable to have a very large company as a trading multiple. This particular software is quite useful in that aspect. It also gives out all the kinds of information which is available for a particular company. Obviously, all of this is also available in the annual reports. The problem with the annual report is, look, if I'm trying to access cement companies, I would have to read all the cement companies which are there. And in fact, the first point is, I would not even know which are the cement companies which are available in the north. So I have to do a lot of research just to understand which are those north-based cement companies. So this particular software helps in doing that. And in fact, it also tells us what kind of capacity do they have, what kind of power plants do they have. So you can see there is one 30 megawatt power plant which is available to them. So it's very important to understand what the company is doing for us, in the sense the comparable company is doing to us. Is it really comparable to the company which we are trying to value? So this is quite useful for that. This is slightly dated, but the way it is, the financial overview is available. Then there are these balance sheet items which are available. Each one of them is available in terms of the earliest one is available first, and then the ones which are earlier than that. This is the way it is presented. The balance sheet is available in a condensed form. It can be broken up, or it can be stepped into for each one of them. Similarly, P&L is available. Similarly, cash flow is available. In fact, in cash flow, we can directly expand and see what kind of operating activities are there, what amount of investment activities, the volume, the value of if there is repayment, if there is loans being taken. So that kind of information is clearly available in this software. Some of the ratios which are important are readily available. You can see the profit margins, the return on capital employed, or return on net worth, the debt equity levels. We'll touch base on the valuation ratios also. These are some of the DuPont model, where if we compare to the company which we are trying to value, if it really is into similar range, then yes, this is a good, if I can say, a good comparable company to consider in our model. So these are some of the valuation ratios which are available, price to book value, or cash EPS, EV to EBITDA, market cap to sales. All of this is available in the software at one click. So it's quite easy to use. One particular aspect I wanted to touch base is beta is also available. If we click on beta, we have beta readily available, and we can select the range also. So this is quite useful. Though this is quite dated, but this is very important in a capital intensive sector. It is valued based on the installed capacity. So we can see this is the installed capacity for cement, for particularly ACC. So if we are looking at a smaller installed capacity of company being valued by us, probably, we understand what is the value per unit of installation capacity. We can try to get that kind of a ratio from this particular software. So, this is an interesting database which is there. I'll switch to another database which is there, which is a late entrant, if I can say so. This is quite similar to the earlier ones. The difference is this one has lower number of companies. So I didn't touch base on the number of companies. In Proves, probably there are more than 40,000 companies. In Capitline Plus or C-Line Plus, probably again, there are close to 40 or 45,000 companies. Ace Equity slightly has lower number of companies. They have about 25,000 companies. So it is quite similar in terms of, if I select a particular sector, if I select healthcare as one of the sector, I can see, all the kinds of companies, both listed and unlisted, very similar to the user interface. But this is, if I can, express, Ace Equity slightly from a user perspective compared to, Proves. If you see, this is slightly better in terms of the presentation. You don't need to train people if there's a newcomer who's trying to use Ace Equity. It's quite similar, simple as selecting an industry and selecting those companies, and then selecting what kind of ratios or levels which we are looking at in terms of income or profit or net worth and the ratios. So we can select all of those in our particular field, and then we can understand what are these companies. So we can see there are some 144 companies which are matching, and we can see the total income. This is slightly 2018, but for others, whatever is available as a year, it is available. But interesting fact, all of these databases, all the softwares which I have mentioned till now, if we do not find companies which are having the financial year as the latest available year, we can request them, and they will update this as information. Generally, they have a turnaround time of about 2 days. So if we are looking at Inventia as one of the company, and it is slightly dated, it can be requested and they will update it to the latest available. And obviously, this depends on the filing being done by the company. It also depends on the ROC information. You can see there are all the parameters which we wanted here available as for all companies here, and I'll just touch base on, we obviously are interested in the trading multiple. So these are the first few companies which are unlisted. So we can't see the latest price. Okay, so these are unlisted, but these are the listed ones. Important part for unlisted company is, if they are matching to what we are into, the company which we are trying to value, we can understand what kind of capital they have deployed, what kind of sales are they having, what kind of, profit levels are they operating at. So, it's quite important to, also find companies which are unlisted and try to see whether the kind of, projections if we have, got from the management, are they really, in sync? We do a lot of diligence. We do ask them why these profit levels are there, or, what is the kind of investment will be there in the next 2 years or 3 years or 4 years. So if we see the past trend of similar companies, to give you an example, in Inventia, if I have, a profit margin of 14%, and if I have got, 40% as a margin or 25% as a margin from somebody, I can, ask for a question, or, or I can question them on what is the reason for a high margin. So, these are very useful to understand, from the company's perspective of how they operating, how are they using their assets. For the listed one, it is very similar. We can see the market cap. We can get all those kinds of ratio as I mentioned earlier. EV by sales, EV by EBITDA, EV by EBIT, EV by market cap by sales. It is useful, if we are looking at, as I said in the earlier, software also, to understand whether those are, in the similar range of what we are doing. So to give you a perspective, Inventia probably is one of the unlisted one. If the company which we are looking at is also into, that similar industry, To give you an example, Inventia is into capsules, pellets, and granules. So if the company which we are trying to value is into the similar space, yes, this is one of the better comparable which we have. But obviously it's an unlisted one, so we do not have the information on the share price and the market cap. But we can obviously use the information which is available on the profit margins, the capital employed, the working capital cycle, and all those kind of information to wet the model which we are trying to prepare in terms of the cash flows which we are receiving, or the projection statement which we receive from the management. So this is quite useful. All of these software are useful. This also gives similar data on the economy. They give out information on the companies. This is basically, I think, giving out automobile SIAM. I think this is the source of information on what are the kind of vehicles which were produced in the last whatever series of years. And if you're looking at automobile companies as a company which we are valuing, this is important because this gives us the trend on what has happened in the past, and we can use that trend to assess what if we are looking at as an auto component company, are we having a similar kind of a trend, or we are out of trend. It is important because our projection will also be keenly in sync with what trend we are having as of in the last few years. So this is quite a useful software. I'll then start on startup companies. This is interesting because every day we keep listening to one new startup who has attained unicorn status, and we keep on listening on Zomato. We in fact had one session on Zomato. So this is very important to understand how these startup companies are being assessed, and what are the kind of valuation which they are looking at, what kind of fundraise they are getting from the market. So this is one database which is available, which is a free database, if you can say. So this is like a it's like a digital media, where they give out whatever fundraise happens. They give out information on what is the fundraise and what kind of valuation did it happen at. Generally this information is obviously, some of it is proprietary, some of it is obviously published by the investors themselves or the company themselves. So this particular database gives out kind of news item. Okay, so you can see here the last fundraise has happened at the issue price was 3,453 per share, and they've raised this much. I'll just touch base on their estimate. They are valuing with this particular company at 7,320 crore. Okay, now this is like a reference point. If I am trying to value a company who is into educational tech, which is called EdTech, I can try to see what are these similar companies being valued at. This becomes like a reference point. I can't simply compare Vedantu to a smaller company who's a smaller startup, but it becomes like a reference point. It gives out all kind of information on who has come in as an investor, and it also gives out the past fundraise as well, which is quite useful for a startup. Here we can see also what are they into, because if I'm talking about Vedantu, it is also into coding of late, which is what others are doing, but not Vedantu, which is this just started in some time back. But because the startup world is ever changing, we do not really understand what the other company is doing. So this kind of a database gives out information on what they are doing, what they have valued at. In fact, did they acquire a different company? So this one, you can see, apart from the equity, they have actually acquired 2 startups. So we can try to access this information for our valuation as well. They in fact also publish this kind of data as for the last week or the week earlier on the amount of fundraise they have done and what is the amount of valuation which they are being funded at. So just to give him a perspective, this was recently termed as a unicorn. We can see there are others which are there. They are not unicorn, but they are the most interesting ones for us. Like if I'm trying to value a company which is into public technology, this is the company which I want to understand how was it valued at by this round of investment. And obviously, it's very critical to understand whether they are into the same industry as we are. So, this database actually gives out information on those sectors as well. Then we have the smaller ones, which are information which is also available similarly on the weekly basis. Like we can see, there is a rural insurance technology startup which got funded. And if we are trying to look at a company which is into rural insurance tech, yes, this could be one of those company to look at. The second one, which you can see, is electric vehicle. Now, electric vehicle is like a buzzing sound today. Everybody wants to be into electric vehicle, and there are a lot of funding which is happening in the EV space. So it's very important to understand what are these companies doing, what are companies which we are trying to value doing, or are they into a similar space, and what are the valuations which are getting. It's like a reference point for us. Similarly, this is about a robotic startup, and 1 million in a pre-series. So the series also is important to understand whether they are at the seed stage, or at the series A stage, or the series B stage, or what kind of series are they getting funded at. So it's quite useful to understand. They also give out a monthly report on the kind of investments which have happened. I'll straight away jump to something which is available, like a Google Sheet. This is very interesting because here you can see each one of the company which has which is a startup which has recently been funded. Now I'm looking at a September month of database. So these are the amount of investment. This is in $1 million, and the series which is the round of investment which has happened, and who are the lead investors. So suppose I'm looking at company called Vedantu. Here is the amount which they have raised, the series E, called by the lead investor ABC World Asia. So if we have this database, at least I can completely browse through this and understand if there is a company which is into similar space. So I'll tell you something which I'm practically doing as of now. I'm trying to find out a company which is into a music education online. Now there are very few companies which are doing music training or education online. As a matter of fact, White Hat Junior started this very recently. Now it didn't get funded because of education in music. They are core into giving out information, teaching on the coding space, but not in the music space. So I do not find any of them which is matching to my company which I want to value. But this is important because all of this is into edtech. Like everybody knows about Baju or Vedantu, which are the popular ones. But we are trying to look at companies which are into the softer education, which is not the formal coaching or teaching, but it's more on the co-curricular space. So it's important if any of them pops up as an investment. It's like a reference point for me to start digging out on what kind of valuation, what kind of levels are they at. So these are the two available databases. There are others which I have not touched based on. There's something called VCC Edge, which is there as a database, which is similar to this one. Then there is something called Venture Intelligence, which is also similar, but it doesn't give out news item. It's like a database. Both of them are paid, and they also give a lot of information on the sectors. They also give out information on what kind of fundraise they have. I'll switch to one recent I'll try to call it as a recent entrant, because this company has recently entered into this space, and in fact they themselves have got funded in this space. So what Traction is doing is they are trying to automate every information which comes for fundraise, and all of that information is available in this database. So if we see, as I was trying to say, EdTech is one space area. So, I can see there are 4,000 odd companies which are there into EdTech. And, it gives both the funded as well as the unfunded ones. So if I'm trying to look at the funded ones, I can probably understand that part. If I'm trying to look at the unfunded for, reference check on the, probable margins or, the amount of, investments which is gone in before the investment raise, the fundraise, that I can also find out. So, this particular selection gives out a few companies, Study Smarter and OutSchool. Both of them have actually are based out of different geography. So we can filter out companies which are in our region, India. And, if we are looking at, this is in dollars, so we can, if we are looking at companies in $1 million or, $50 to $50 million. So we, the revenue part, we can select that. And obviously India if we want, Indian companies. So we can see these are the companies which gets populated. And there are only 32 results because these are quite large revenues. As we know, startups generally are not, in such large revenue stages. They are probably in the stage where they are doing a lot of cash burn in terms of spending and acquiring customers. So we do not have large amount of revenues, but, just for the sample case, we are looking at, companies which are in, larger space. So we can see there are 32 results which are, popping up for us. If we go to, information on what filters we are available. Now, this is interesting because startups generally are not only valued at, the profit levels, which everybody, knows it. So, it gives out what are the metrics which are available, what are the number of mobile downloads, what are the mobile reviews, what are the reviews growth, what are the reviews growth in the last 6 months, what are the mobile rating, app UI rating, web UI. Now, this is very important for a tech-based company. So to give you an example, WhatsApp is surely, there because of the number of downloads. In fact, there are, Telegram, in fact, was the company which got, a good amount of downloads recently. Because there was a problem in the servers at WhatsApp or Facebook, and they were down. So this is one of the most important metrics. In terms of technology space, it's called customer acquisition. So the number of mobile download drives the valuation for a startup. So it's very important to understand what are the number of downloads. Obviously, if somebody is also trying to assess what are the number of Twitter followers, this also could be a parameter to understand where we are standing as a company, which we are trying to value versus companies which are available in this database. So I'll just try to show you, if I click on the number of downloads as 1 million to 10 million, let's say what comes up, which are the ones which are having this kind of a high download plus this kind of a revenue plus in the same edtech space. So, that probably is one of the company which I am looking at. Probably not what is the company which is into, music education, but just for the sake of understanding, this is available to me as a result. So, this is the company which has shown up, Upgrad basically, which has, the revenue, which has the number of downloads, which is into education tech. Now, many people have already listened about this company in the media space, but this particular software basically or database gives out the number of fundraise they have done and what valuation at each fundraise was happened, which has happened. So it's quite interesting. We can say this Series D was $40 million value. Sorry, not value, but the amount of investment which was done. In Series E, there was some amount in another Series E called, $29 million. So it's important. And here we understand what was the last funding round, what was the valuation done last, and what was the revenue. Now, we are not talking about profits because as everybody knows, these are companies which are actually, using the funds to expand into the market, not particularly trying to focus on the profit at this particular stage. it's more of a game where they will really, max out all kinds of people who want to, use a mobile or a app for education. So, it's like, what market share are you, what is the wallet share are you acquiring from a particular customer? So, they're more keen on, acquiring customers. So we can see this particular amount of valuation which happened last, and the revenue, and obviously employee count is important. If you're looking at the company which is quite large, if we are trying to value unfunded, unlisted startup, which is this kind of number. For IT companies, one metric is the valuation per employee, which is useful at times. Valuation per revenue, yes, this is one of the metrics. We can also understand which are those investors which have come in, which are the angel investors. Now, also important is, the angel investors, particularly in a few cases, because, those are the people who are also, completely understanding what this upgrade company is into, and they will select and invest in similar companies. Okay. So we can see there are a lot of these angel investors who are already there in a particular sector, and they completely understand, and they are also investing in other companies. So this becomes like, for us as a reference that, there are these investors who are available, and we can try to track them and understand what are they investing into and what are the valuation at which they are investing into. So, this particular, database is quite useful to, get all kinds of investment, understanding of only the startup space, startup companies. This probably is not very useful for a company which is into, probably space where they've been in the industry for maybe 10 years, and they are into regular businesses. Probably this is not the space, this is not the database, though it will give us information on those companies as well. But I suggest this one is more suited for startup. Plus, they have an interesting feature, which again is similar to others. They have, if we do not find one particular company, though we know who has got funded, we can request information on that, and somebody will get back within a fixed turnaround time and give us that information. So, these are, databases which are available only for startups. But as I said, look, there are others which I'm not based on. There's something called VCC Edge. There's something called Venture Intelligence. I have also not touched based on other databases which are available for startups. In fact, not just startups, as a general. There are Thomson Reuters, Bloomberg, there which are available. But, those are more suited for large financial institutions. So I'm not trying to touch base on those, but more from a general valuation practitioner perspective. I'll move ahead and also show you, this also gives out which are the ones which are tracked, funded. Okay, so out of these, probably some of them are unfunded, and it also gives out which are those companies which we can understand, the notable ones. So I do not find music, education, technology in either of them. But if I want to understand something as online, tutoring, probably this is one of those, spaces where I should go into. So suppose my company, which I'm trying to value, is into, science, technology and mathematics. So, probably these are the two places where I should, find invested companies into, and the valuation at which they were invested. Again, I'm trying to touch base on the, trading or transaction multiple, also from a perspective of, if we are looking at startup, what are the matrices, what are the metrics which are used for valuation? If it is, as I said, downloads, we can see that. If it is based on number of customers, we can see that. So these both databases are quite useful in the startup space. Okay, this is something on the intangible. Now I want to take a pause on this particular perspective, and I want to ask everybody, if I'm trying to value a company which is into restaurant, and there's a big brand, example, McDonald's, what will be the royalty rates which are applicable? Anybody can, if it's anybody's guest, you can either type it out, you can give out a shout on what are the royalty rates which you think are would be applicable for a company which is into restaurant space. Okay, so I can see 20% of revenue. Okay, that is one guess. Yes, that's something which would be tested. Let's see. Probably 15 to 20. I can see one suggestion as 15 to 20% royalty, which is a good suggestion. Let's see. Do we touch base from 15 to 20? So there are databases. Okay, I can see 30 to 35%. Yes, we'll try to understand. So there are these 2 or 3 databases. I'm trying to touch base only on Royalty Stat. Royalty Stat is one database. Again, it's a cloud-based database which gives out information on what are those royalty rates, or what are the royalty agreements, in fact, available in the market, and whether they can be benchmarked if we are trying to value from a royalty from relief method. So this database is one of the database which is quite useful. There are others called KT Mine, then there's Royalty Source, but I'm just trying to give out this as an example to somebody who wants to value a intangible. So here we can see there are industries which we can select. What are the kind of agreements which are there? Royalty base, if there are related parties, tiered royalty. Again, sorry, before I go to royalty base, any royalty agreement will have a different base. To give you a perspective, it could be on sales, it could be on the profit, but generally it is on sales. Okay, so if we are trying to assess a particular intangible, this database also touches base on all kinds of different royalty bases. In case of tiered royalty, means whether there are levels of royalty rates, from suppose $1 million of sales to $5 million of sales at particular royalty rate, or if it crosses revenue, there is a different royalty rate. So it could be a tiered royalty rate. So we can select as one of a particular sector. Pharma is one of the sector which is keenly tracked. These are the kind of agreements which are available. It could be a know-how, it could be a franchise, it could be a distribution, it could be some of them which we would be interested. So we can select. Probably now everybody has got the feeling. All the databases are similar. In terms of we can select whatever is available and what is suited to us. So if we go ahead, we have selected just to showcase patent, trademark, and trade name for pharma. Okay, medical devices, pharmaceutical, and biotech. I was touching base on the royalty base. So these are some of the metrics which we can find our royalty rates. It could be cost of goods sold, gross profit, cost, NAV, net profit, but obviously net sales or the sales is the most used base, in fact. So let's see, and we have Asia, because we are trying to suppose value an intangible which is in Asia. So we can see these are the information which gets populated after we select Asia, and we didn't select we selected pharma, and we selected patents. So these are the companies which are these are the companies and the agreement. So we can see there is an internal reference which is created by them, and this is like the description of the agreement which is available in their database. So Tanox and Tanox ACA, Tanox Biosystems, okay, they have ancillary agreement for a patent to develop. There is this particular product, okay, IgE mediated diseases in human, okay, and we have 5% of net sales. We can see as the royalty, and we can see the territory being covered. This is Eastern Asia. Similarly, we can see, there are some different, number of agreements which have got populated. Okay, and we can browse through each one of them. you can see here there is some agreement which is into 8%. So if we are trying to assess a pharma-based intangible, we can understand what are the levels at which companies are operating. I just wanted to highlight this particular aspect. Here in this fourth one, India is one of the territories. So if we are trying to assess a company, probably this license or this patent license is what we should be focusing on. Probably not the ones which are here. So you can see there's a different rate also. So obviously, now there'll be a question: why should I select something which is not in the space, even in terms of the medical devices? What should be selected? Now, this gives out the this is like the report. There are 37 agreements which were found out of whatever 24,000 agreement. These are the different references, and this is like a, if everybody knows the standard distribution. So this is like the first quartile. This is the median. This is the average. Hold on. This is the average, and there is this tri-mean. Tri-mean is basically quarter one and quarter two, and twice the average. This is basically statistics which is used. What are the standard deviation which are there, and there is some maximum number also. So this gives out information on which statistics should be used. It could be median, it could be average, it could be tri-mean, but obviously it depends on where we are looking at, which region are we looking at. This next slide is basically on each of the agreement is also available for us to view. We can actually go and browse through the entire agreement and see what is the entire agreement talking about, what clauses are available, how is the royalty defined, what is the royalty rate defined. Okay, so we can see the different aspects are listed here, but here we can see the real agreement. Now, to also give you a perspective, India as such does not require each company which is a private company or a public company to file a royalty or a patent agreement with the regulatory body. But because of the US requirements, most of the Indian companies, even if they want to enter into an agreement with US, the US company will report it to the US regulatory bodies. So it is available in this database. Similarly for the European companies. So this database will give out information on, as I was trying to say, on different kind of spaces. So just to give you, this has been exported now to Excel. We were trying to touch base on the company which had Indian space, and these are the date, the royalty rates which are available for each of the company. We see the effective date. If this we are looking at, probably this is quite old, 1997. We would not look at 1997 agreement for the sheer fact that it's quite an old agreement. Probably the market dynamics have changed, so we should look at more recent agreements which are available in the database. The base, this also gives out all the information on the base, the royalty base, and the territory, as I was trying to say. But that was on the portal, and now this is in the Excel space. And we can read through the agreement. We can use this. We can create our own average. We can unselect some of the companies which we think are not comparable to what company, whatever intangible we are trying to value. So this can be used by anybody to assess what are the market royalty rates which are available in the different spaces. To answer one question which was raised, some time back by me. So if we see the restaurant space, the median and the average is close to 5%. So, obviously, look, this is something which I would not know, and obviously this database does that kind of help. There was one answer which was given as quite 30 to 35% by one of the participant, Raj Kamal Sarawagi. Yes, I understand. We would not really know what kind of royalty rates are applicable, but this database, clearly gives out what are those data, what are the royalty rates. Now, if you see software, it's quite high. You see, the average is quite high. But if you see restaurant, it is quite low. In fact, software and internet, if you see 18 and 21%. So, the kind of, royalties which are applicable for software and internet are quite high. In fact, probably everybody is aware, Microsoft actually is one of the company which has a very high royalty rates. So, it's not comparable to the other smaller software companies. So, we should in fact get into each agreement and try to find which is comparable. But yes, just to give you a perspective, medical devices is at 7%, pharma is 8%, and obviously these are averages. This is not one agreement. These are a count of like for pharma there are 5,000 or 6,000 odd agreements which are available. Similarly, for restaurant there are some 700 odd agreements. One thing I wanted to touch base was, there are sectors probably which are not available for us, but we can try to take a reference point which are into similar space. To give you a perspective, the company which if I'm trying to value is into social media. Now, obviously it is either in entertainment and media, or it is either in internet. Now I need to really dig down and understand where is social media agreements classified at. But yes, there's an average, 14% and 20%, which is available for us to understand. Obviously, these are the other figures which are available. As I said, standard, the distribution, which is a standard distribution. And for a large statistic, it is important to understand what are the first quartile, what are the second quartile, what are the median, what are the third and the fourth quartile, and the standard deviation. These are very high level statistical tools which are available. Also, to give you a perspective, this is more from a transfer pricing perspective, where to give you an example, if there's a company in India who's trying to shift one of their asset, which is an intangible, to a company which is their related party in maybe a location overseas, and then leasing it back, or leasing it back in the sense, taking it back in terms of business and giving out royalty rates. So what will be the royalty rate which is applicable? Okay, and what is the intangible at which it will be shifted at? This is a real question. In fact, this is a real practical question which I have come across. And this kind of a database really helps me answer, if suppose I'm talking about a restaurant company, so it has to be 5% or close to 5%. Okay, and I can dig out all those agreements which are available in this restaurant space and try to assess whether I'm trying to value a fast-moving, a fast food company, or it's like a fine dine company, or if it is a company who's more into just branding for packaged food, like providing food for the larger restaurants. So then I can understand by going into each agreement. So these are some of those database which are there for royalty. But as I said, look, there are other databases which I didn't touch base on. There's something called KT Mine. There's something called Royalty Source, which are also similar. In fact, regulatory bodies in US accept Royalty Source. They also accept KT Mine as one of the databases. As I was trying to say, regulatory bodies would need also similar to understand what are the royalty rates which are applicable. So I just wanted to touch base on the royalty, for the intangible thing. For the transaction space, till now we are talking about trading multiples. This particular section is about the transaction which have happened, in the sense, what are those mergers and acquisitions which have happened, and what are the multiples which are, which have actually gone into those transactions. Now, some of the information is available publicly, in the sense we can do a Google, we can find a few companies which are there, but it's a laborious job. Suppose I want to find a transaction multiple which is there in automobile space, then I have to probably, if I want to do a Google, it will probably need a good amount of manpower plus time to gather all that information. And obviously, we would not be able to gather as much information which is available in a database which does the job actually. So this is one database which is available for mergers and acquisition. It is web-based again. Most of them are cloud-based. So this has few interesting aspects on intelligence on what are those companies which are which are probably getting funded or they have acquired, and here there are the deals of the executed transactions which are available with this database. So I'll just give you a feel on how it goes by. So we can select a range, we can select a particular space on industry. We can select the geography and the industry, and we can also, as I said, we can include a particular country or region. We have selected some of the region, as Asia. Now we can see there are these 82 deals which have happened in this space of 97 to 2021. These are the multiples at which these transactions have happened, like 3.9x, 3.9 times. EBITDA multiple was 22, EBIT multiple was 29. Obviously, earning multiple is this. And what are the median? Now, statistically, in fact, this is a question which is a valid question. Even I am pondering always whether should I use average or should I use a median. Now, obviously, this question is a very particular question when there is a very large amount of companies or transactions which we are trying to average out. If there are a very few transactions which we are looking at, probably median or average will be similar because there would not be a very high statistical distribution. This particular this thing is it's a proprietary thing. They have done some adjusted average where they adjusted for a specific transaction involving a lot of amount of example. There is this company which has a high amount of other sales or non-operating income in their or very high amount of non-operating income. They will adjust it, and this multiple will give out the adjusted average. So this is quite useful, and this is very particular for mergers and acquisition. If we are trying to look at the database, this one. So as I was trying to say, look, there are these 261 companies which are there, and it will populate each transaction as one of those transactions which we can look at. Now this is as we selected pharma or as we selected drug development and drug supply and geography as India. We have these companies which are there, which have undergone some transaction. So Strand Life Sciences was the target, which was acquired by this particular company, and this has got hidden, but this is the value, and this is the multiple. So this happened recently in September. Now this information, if I do a lot of Google research, I may be able to find out this information from Google. But if I want to do this kind of a search for quite a big, large amount of information or large amount of transaction, this probably is a laborious job. So this is where these databases or softwares help us. And if we are doing a transaction, advisory, and we are trying to value quite a large company, we cannot ignore the transaction multiple, and it has to be factored in. Even if at later stage we understand and remove and deselect some of the transactions, but it is important to at least take as a reference and see which are those transactions available, and what are the multiples at which they were entered, and to find out our valuation. So just to understand, I'll also tell you now. We can also dig into the details now. To give another perspective, each of these large transactions are given out as a public information by the acquirer or the target. But again, as I said, look, that information, it is more like media, which is there in if I want to do a Google search. But it will be a big amount of effort if I want to do Google information search. So this is where these databases come in, and they populate everything in one particular location. And there are league tables. There are other things which I don't want to touch base on. These are more suited for an investment banker and not for a valuation practitioner. But this is the main core area which even an investment banker would love to get into. And obviously for a valuation practitioner, this is one of the most important area which we should be focusing on. Then for listed companies, look, probably many of our professional brothers are already knowing about listed companies. There are these databases which are available, which are obviously complementary. NSE is one of them. It's the National Stock Exchange is the exchange itself, so it also has a lot of information on their website. So I've just taken one example of Kaplan Point. It's a smaller pharma company. It is not a very large pharma company. So it's a smaller pharma company. Probably, though it is pharma, it also is into chemicals. So, NSE gives out that information from, from a company perspective. I can see the annual reports here. Now, I'll tell you something, I need to click here and then go into annual reports to read it, which is, again, as I said, it's an effort if I have to read, and do a lot of research. If it is, involving a lot of reading, but if it is readily available, it really helps in the process. So NSE is good for gathering information, but the sheer amount of information presented is not user friendly, if I can say so. But the sheer amount of information is available. All kinds of information is available, including the annual reports, including the financials, and whatever has been published by the companies to SEBI. It is available on this. But again, as I said, look, this is available as like a attachment, and I need to click and then open it as a separate file, and then I need to go and understand what results I have, the detailed one which they have pointed to. This particular thing I really wanted to touch base, which is not available in any of the other ones which we discussed till now. So NSE has their own research tab, and they keep doing a lot of research on the sectors and companies. So this particular report is basically a survey on the cost of capital. Now, obviously, if I'm trying to, as I said, was trying to do, valuation on a startup, this is the, the average which is being shown. Now, I don't know, obviously, I would not select this as my cost of equity, but obviously, I'll try to understand what are the references which are available. To give you an understanding, power as a slightly, lower cost of equity. Chemicals are at lowest in the bottom most range. Real estate and startup are the space which have highest cost of equity. Healthcare obviously has very high space. Now, if I, as a valuation practitioner, if I really want to be aware of what is happening in a particular sector, I need to do a lot of research. So this particular section on NSE is quite useful. They do a lot of research. They do a lot of academic research as well. And obviously it helps in understanding if I'm having a cost of equity of 15% for an automobile company, am I in the similar range? If my automobile company which I'm trying to value is close to 14%, then yes, probably I have a reference point. But if I have 20% as the cost of capital for automobile, probably it is not it's not probably as a stable kind of a thing, because the market premium and obviously the beta which we have selected also gives out the cost of equity. Now obviously this is like a reference point, and this is when we use this in our valuation, we become more aware of what is happening. So this is quite useful for understanding the valuation space. BSE, most of the people are aware now. I'm sure most of the investors who are investors in the sense, my fellow practitioners who invest in stock market, they don't use, either NSE or BSE. Probably there are others like money control and all. But just to showcase, BSE also gives out information. This is the same company, but look here, that information is listed here like a table. So if I'm wanting to understand whether a pharma company which is into revenue space of this much of 500 crore and profitability of 200 crore, is this the company which I would want to research on? It is readily available here. So this is quite user friendly, if I can say so, compared to the other one. But look, there are limitations of both the NSE and BSE. They have already presented it in the format which is available. We can't change it, but in case of BSE, there's something called peer group. So if we select a peer group, it will show up similar companies which are in the similar space. So this is one useful feature. Now, this is again, annual report is similarly available. I can download, I can read through. But if I have to read through a lot of information, it takes a lot of time. So if somebody has a lot of time, probably we can browse through this. But if it is somebody who wants to just do a reference check on whether company is into similar scale, we'll simply select and understand from this earlier slide. So I'll simply switch over to one interesting aspect. And a lot of equity investors use this. As I know, this is like a simpler way of presenting information, and it also gives out some information on the company. Now you can see what this company is into, what product portfolio they are into, what is the revenue breakup. So this gives out a lot more information on the company, which was compared to both the other database which I talked about. It is not readily available. It is there, but I have to search for that information. This one gives out all that information on the first page. Now I'm not looking at all the information, but I'll touch base on some of the peers. Look, if I'm looking at company which is into probably 300 to 500 crore range, probably these two companies are something which I should be looking at. Or if the sales perspective, if I'm looking at a smaller pharma company, I would want to obviously look at these two companies. And these are the multiples which are available right away. So what are the EV by EBITDA multiple for these company? What are the the FCF, free cash flow multiple? What is the sales multiple? Okay. So we can see very interesting perspective. Most of them are in a similar range from 6 to 9, except this one, probably because of lower profitability, probably. Okay, and lower operating margin. So if our company, which I'm trying to value, is having lower margin, there has to be a reason for it. If I'm into similar space of 30 to 35%, probably all of these are companies which I should be selecting. Obviously, again, from a perspective of the sector within pharma or drug formulation, we need to understand each of the company which we are trying to understand, and whether they really fall into comparable company for what we are trying to look at. But this simplifies, this particular database simplifies all the information in one space. From left to right, it gives out last 10 years information on one simple scale. So I can, if I'm doing a lot of research on this company, I can simply select on understand how have they grown, and whether this really matches up to the company which I'm trying to value. Okay, so this gives out a lot of information on a simple scale, and obviously the PBT levels are also available. TTM is also available for me to understand. Balance sheet is also available to understand what are the debt levels, what are the reserves, and what kind of fixed assets have they invested in. So I can see that, and if I'm looking at a company which is giving me projections, and if the amount of investments which they are investing in, if it is really matching to a similar company, I can take this as a comparable. In fact, this also becomes like a reverse reference. if this company has this amount of fixed assets and it is generating X amount of revenue, the company which I am trying to value probably also should be generating similar kind of profitability for similar kind of fixed assets or investment. So this becomes like a reference point for valuation. This is also useful for understanding what are the kind of if you're looking at cash flow for the next 5 years for one particular company, this becomes like a reference on what were the operating profit in a similar space and what were the kind of cash flows which were available. Obviously, it's not a one-on-one comparison. We have to do a lot of adjustment to understand what this particular amounts are. This particular section is talking about ratio, but I'm more keen on the conversion cycle. So whenever we talk about cash flows being given by our management, basically they talk about X amount of working capital days or amount of working capital being invested by them in the company. Now this again becomes like a reference point. We can see what is this particular company in terms of what are the inventory levels, what are the debtor days, what are the days payables, and what is the cash conversion cycle. So if this is 166 and if we are doing a valuation on a company which is giving out a cash conversion cycle of maybe 300 days, then we need to ask why, or we need to ask and understand why we have a higher cash conversion cycle, or if we have a very low conversion cycle, we need to understand why. Again, if it is 80 or 20 or whatever, 25 or 40, then we need to understand what are they doing so right that they are having lower inventory days. What are they doing so right that they have very low debtor days? We need to understand the perspective from our company which we are trying to value. But this becomes like a reference point for us to understand. Even the cash flows which have been given out by the different management people. I'll touch base on similar database which is there. Again, look, I am just trying to say this is one database which is available, which is similar to Screener, but again, it's just that if somebody is used to getting all the information in one space, both of them can be either of them can be used. This has slightly better UI user interface, but it's the same information. But obviously the difference here is it goes from the latest to the earliest. The one which we talked about in the earlier space was from the last to the earliest to the latest. So it's like a reverse, but it gives out almost similar information on revenue and the expense and profitability. In fact, both of them also give out a detailed on operating expense in terms of what are the operating expense in terms of raw material or employee cost that can be broken down into, and we can understand what kind of profit levels are they operating. But it's just a different way of presenting. The balance sheet is available again similarly. We can understand what kind of reserves are available, what kind of liabilities are there, what are the total assets, what is the fixed asset in this particular company, whether this is really comparable. This has a different way of presenting, and a lot of these ratios are available for us to understand, which were not available, if I can say so, readily in the databases which we have talked till now. Now, if I'm talking about EBIT margin of 20 to 30%, this 5-year space, and we are talking about our cash flows, which are having an EBIT margin of maybe 50%, then we need to ask why. Or if our EBIT margins are less than 20%, then again, we have to ask the question, why, and whether those can be justified if we are talking about 50% EBIT margin, and whether they can be really justified. So as I was trying to say, this again is also a user-friendly database, but the information which was available on conversion cycle is not available here. It just gives out the ratio of current and quick. Okay, and we can again use it, but the other database gives it as like a ready reference point. So, this is, I would say from a perspective of user interface, yes, it is useful, but, the other one which we talked about has slightly, cleaner and, more suited to information as presented like in an Excel. On the valuation front, similarly, all kinds of valuation multiples are available. EV by sales, EV by EBITDA, market cap by sales, all those information are available, and for each number of years. So we can see these information and also do a reference check and see whether, there are, similar companies similar to which we are trying to value, and what are the multiples at which they are operating at. I'll also touch base on the databases or information available on web for research. And obviously, there's a lot of media, a lot of information on the economy, then there are a lot of information on the RBI, what RBI has really recently commented on inflation, or what finance ministry has talked about on aspect of repo or bond market. But obviously, if I'm trying to, again, as I said, I want to value a company who is into maybe pharma space. As I said, pharma is one of my favorites. So if we are talking about a pharma company, is there a database or information which is available readily where I don't need to do a lot of Google? So this is one of my favorite. It's a company called IBEF. It's actually a foundation, and it's a information exchange, if I can say so. And it is actually promoted by Government of India, and it gives out a lot of information on different aspects of the economy. It is quite useful if I'm, as a valuation practitioner, if I want to understand what are the recent trends and what is the trend which is coming up. So this really helps in understanding if we are talking about a projection of 5 years or 2 years or whatever, whether the amount of rate of growth which are being showcased by the management, is it in sync, whether those amount of rates of change can really come across. So we can see this from an industry perspective. Now there are these industries which are available. Okay, or you can see almost more than 20 odd industries are available for us to explore. I just wanted to showcase you the pharma healthcare. Now you can see, look, it gives out information quite recent as August. It talks about what could be the amount of value of the entire healthcare market in the next 2022, and what is the expenditure on the healthcare. Now this is quite useful if I'm trying to value a company which is into pharma, and if we talk about what kind of growths are available, this particular database can tell me whether that kind of percentage growth is possible. Because if I'm particularly present in healthcare or pharma space, the healthcare pharma space percentage growth will determine my growth. Plus, the economic growth will determine probably the entire growth which can happen in the healthcare space. So it's like a top down, but this one directly goes into the healthcare space. So I don't need to do a top down approach. I can directly go to healthcare and understand what is the healthcare growth levels. These are available in this database as what are the CAGR. So if I'm looking at growth of 40% in our DCF example, this might not match up. So there has to be a very specific reason for what we are doing versus the entire market. Obviously, there could be reasons of we are doing something slightly more innovative and we can acquire more customer, or they're more, acquire more share of their wallet. But this becomes like a reference point where, if we are trying to do a due diligence on the, the cash flow, whether that is in those range, whether this is in those range of, amount of growth which will be available. Now, this is like very high level information. What are the number of doctors? What are the colleges? This actually gives out a perspective on the pharma industry. Again, the reason I'm trying to touch base on this, as a valuation practitioner, we have to become, as much as aware of the industry which we are trying to look at, or the company in which we are trying to look at. So, we have to be very aware of, what are the different kind of metrics which are available, and what is the economy doing for this particular market, and how are they growing. So, you can see all kinds of, information is there. And it's a government promoted website, and it gives out a lot of information on those industries. And obviously this is complimentary. So, I should say nobody should miss a valuation, assignment without going through industry, at least on this website, and this can help us in understanding and give out a right kind of approach to our valuation. There are other, databases which are available, which I didn't talk about. Again, as I said, a lot of information is available for research on, by rating agencies. Some of them is paid. Some of them is available as a complimentary on their website. To give you a perspective, if we are talking about, example, the power sector. So there's a recent lot of, I can say so, negative news on the shortage of coal sector, and because of that, power sector is facing a lot of shortage. So if we have to understand, probably I can do a lot of Google research, but if there are agencies which have done those research and it is readily available, it saves a lot of time. So if I'm trying to value a power sector company, I can do a simple research on the databases which are there, as I said, on the rating agencies. This is one rating agency which publishes, information, or like a, like a newsletter for particular sectors. Now, this is a very recent one, which they said, they were talking about, commenting on whether, the coal shortages will really hamper the growth for the power sector. And they've given a lot of commentary, and they're talking about the Indonesian coal, which is like the HBA. If somebody is into coal or power sector, they will understand. This is the index which is used. Indonesian coal is having high calorific value. So it is the amount of heat generated by them, and amount of energy generated by the Indonesian coal is slightly higher as compared to the Indian coal. That is the reason we have, we import a lot of coal from Indonesia. And of late, there was this geopolitical instability, I can say so, on the Australian coal not being accepted by China. So if I have a company which is, I'm trying to assess or value, which is into power sector in India, I need to be very, very aware of what is happening in the global space. And obviously, I can do a Google research, but look, as I said, this is available for us to, go through readily. So it's quite helpful. Here, they are talking about, what are the thermal power generators, generators, what are their credit profile, because they are a credit rating agency. So they will talk about what are their profile, and what are the tariffs, and what is the plant availability factor. Now, I've tried to highlight this, that they're saying, look, this is a particular problem which has come up as a temporary problem. Now, plant availability factor is a temporary thing because of the current shortage, it will be recouped. So if I'm trying to assess a company or a value, I'm trying to value a company, I would not, factor this in my projection, or in terms of the cash flow, I will not factor this as one of the key factor, but I have to be very aware. If suppose this becomes like a permanent factor for, projection, then yes, I should be factoring those. Now, obviously, commentaries by agencies helps us understand and, adjust if we are trying to, factor those kind of cash flows. So it's, again, this commentary talks about, there's only 4 days of consumption. This was highlighted in a lot of newspapers, okay? And this is like scary for everybody, but if I'm informed valuer, I can see this is like a temporary problem which happens in during these recurring issues of autumn. Okay, and they give out chart on what was the dispatch by Coal India to the power sector. So we can see the coal dispatches are already happening. The real problem is the consumption by plants. So obviously the industry has, after the second wave, they have picked up a lot. So obviously we can see the consumption has happened at a higher space. But again, this is something which is a temporary phenomena, because in a longer term, we can see it is almost in a similar range. Okay, if we take a very, very longer term chart, it will be moving in a similar space. So if I'm trying to value a power sector company, or trying to understand the cash flows for a power sector company, I will tend to understand this and understand the impact it may have on a shorter term, but also understand whether it has a impact on the very, very longer term. So here it talks about the coal inventory levels will improve. Okay, it talks about not earlier than Q3 of 22, and obviously by the production of Coal India will happen. But it says, it talks about the power plant load factors in a similar space, and obviously there are other issues which are also in play. There are delays by GenCos and transportation and other constraints which are also available for us to understand. Now, if I do not do this kind of research, and I accept something which is given by management as as like they give out and say, look, they are into this industry for last whatever 10, 40 years, whatever number of years, and if I do not have this perspective on the coal sector, probably I'm not able to do a justice on what kind of inputs I am giving and trying to give for evaluation. So this is quite important to understand the industry, and these research information is available by these different agencies, and this is as an analyst or as a valuer practitioner, we have to be very hungry on information and knowledge, and as we try to get deep into it, we'll try to understand, or rather we probably will lead to a space where we actually can try to see the company's perspective, and also see the perspective if there is a regulator or somebody who is a third party. So it really helps in assessment or appraisal of a company or valuation of a company if we are fully aware of all different kinds of industry, and plus the different companies. So I just wanted to touch base on these. Obviously, few aspects which I've not touched based are if there is somebody who's trying to value land and building or plant and machinery, there are readily available software which are used for land and building. They are different. Obviously, I've tried to touch base on databases or software which are used by SFA, not for land and building or plant and machinery. But I'm just trying to say, look, there are databases which are available for plant and machinery and land and building. Also, I would want to touch base on a few aspects of models. Now, there are these models which are used by investment bankers. There are models called there's a Goldman model, a Goldman Sachs model. So it is available and used by a lot of investment banks. But again, this is more from a transaction perspective, from a valuation core fairness opinion. This again can be used for our valuation, but obviously we should follow our valuation standards and follow all kinds of methods which are available and discard which are not applicable. So I just wanted to touch base on all the kinds of databases and software. And obviously it's like a model, and it can be automated by people around, but we have to be aware and we have to be completely in sync with what the industry and the market is doing. So this was something I wanted to touch base on. I would be open to any questions which are there from anybody. You can drop a chat. I can answer whatever question which are available.
I think questions people will send to you directly in chat or mail later on. So
Sure.
now time is 8:30 already. So we will finish with vote of thanks of Tista.
Sure.
Mute. Tista mute है अभी तुम्हारा.
Thank you, sir. With such wonderful knowledge from Deepak Sharma, sir, here we come to the conclusion of this webinar. I take this opportunity to place on record our hearty thanks to sir for enlightening us about the opportunities that are available in the SME sector and also how the valuation sector and the SME sector can go hand in hand. I would like to extend my sincere thanks to Deepak Sharma, sir, for showing us the various softwares that are available in this field and how to make effective utilization of them. Lastly, I would also like to say that an event like this doesn't happen overnight. It takes many days to actually keep the wheels rolling. So I would like to thank my team, Asmita ma'am, Veena ma'am, Amit sir, and most importantly, Sandeep sir, for constantly gearing the work of conducting this webinar. Thank you all so much. And with this, I would bid good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tista.
Thank you, Deepak ji. Thank you very much. To share the presentation to us, then we will share to participate.
I'll do that. Thank you.